And good morning, friends. Today we will be taking up this chapter, language and national identity. Today I will try to explain to you the meaning of the title. Language, as you know, is a means of communication. Different people have different languages: Hindi, English, Urdu, French, German, Japanese, that are spoken in the different parts of the world, in different communities, in different societies. But the second term of the title, national identity, it has very deep connotations. I, as a teacher, when I look at the contemporary times, I look at the country, the world ravaged by the pandemic of corona. I try to imagine at the future of our society, of our country. But before I can look into the future or imagine about the future, I have to look back into our history, where we are coming from. Historically or traditionally speaking, we are a Hindu nation. हमारे कल्चर को सनातन कहा गया है. सनातन, the word Sanatan, it means that is very old or which is timeless. UNESCO did a study of the ancient civilizations that have prevailed in the different parts of the world: Babylonian, Mesopotamian, Egyptian, and so many others. Now it says that there were 47 such civilizations, and they have all vanished. There is only one, our civilization, that has still survived. Now, a Harvard professor asked Indian student a very interesting question. And the question was, how is it that in spite of nearly 1500 years of foreign rule, India is still nearly 80% of Hindu culture or civilization? His reason for asking the question was that the Zoroastrian civilization that was then called Persian, the present Iran, it was overtaken by the Muslims, and everyone was completely Muslim within 10 years. Similarly, Iraq became completely Muslim within 15 years. Europe became completely Christian over a period of nearly 50 years. There were the Holy Crusades, people were forced into. So, what is it that has how do we look at our society? You see, one is a personal identity, me as a human being, my physical makeup, my mental makeup, my psychological way of my psychology, my thought process, how I behave with others, So there are different aspects to the identity of an individual. But when we come together as a society or as a group, as a social group or as a religious group or as a political group, then there is a collective way of thinking, behaving, how we celebrate our festivals, our food habits, how we wear clothes, and how we behave with others. This collective way of thinking or behaving is what constitutes our national identity. I'll give you an example. When India became independent in 1947, one was India, another was Pakistan. It had two parts, the East and the West. The East was dominated by the Bengali-speaking people. The West was dominated by Urdu-speaking people. And then they could not remain together. The main reason for this was that the Western Pakistan, the present Pakistan, they wanted to force upon Urdu as an official language. But the people of the erstwhile East Pakistan, or what is Bangladesh today, they were not ready to accept this, because for the Bengali people, language as an aspect of identity is more important than religion as an aspect of identity. India, West was trying to trample the people of East. India intervened and Bangladesh became an independent country. I have given you this example only to impress upon you how the language plays an important component as an aspect of national identity. I will give you another example. We are a vast country. We are divided into different religious, social, jatis, and so many other things. You know, India before independence was divided into so many independent states, 586, and then there were the areas that were directly ruled by the British, and then Sardar Patel, his efforts made India into one political identity. And we are also aware of the fact that we have been ruled by the foreign people for hundreds of years, but yet we never lost up. We have culturally been one, be it the Hindus, be it the Muslims, or be it the different jatis. We as Indians have always been struggling. For example, the Sikhs were fighting against the Muslims in Punjab, the Marathas in the south, and so many different people. There is a galaxy of people who have struggled, who have lost their lives for the sake of the freedom of this country. So, in spite of this foreign rule, it was this common struggle that has persisted to make us collectively as Indians. I'll give you another example of how we as Indians, in spite of all our differences, think in terms of our national identity. You are all aware that the farmers of the country, or at least in some parts of the country, they are agitating against the new farm bills that have been passed by the present government. And people had a lot of sympathy for the farmers, who are referred to as the Annadata. But on 26th of January this year, which is our Republic Day, the agitating farmers entered into Delhi. They forced their way into the Red Fort, and there was one incident, maybe 2 or 3 minutes, when some people entered into that place where the Prime Minister of India hoisted the national flag on every 15th of August. So there was an incident that was shown on the TV, and millions of people watched it. Some young people, they climbed on that pole, which is supposed to be reserved for the national flag. And I don't know whether it's true or not, because I don't know all the facts, but it is said that the national flag was pulled down and a religious flag was hoisted there. The Nishan Sahib, the religious flag which is hoisted on their gurdwaras or religious places, and this shocked the whole country. All over the country, the people, they thought that this was not acceptable. It was a very small incident. If you look at the passage of time, only 2 or 3 minutes, but it shocked our national conscience. People were not willing to accept this, and while there was a lot of sympathy for the farmers earlier and for their agitation, now we are seeing that the local people where these agitations are being held, they have turned against these agitating farmers, and they are demanding, I don't want to use the words, exact words, but they are demanding that they be forced, that force be used to remove them from those places. So this, what I want to emphasize upon is that this way of collective thinking, it is what is referred to as national identity, and language, of course, it plays a very important part in the formation of national आइडेंटिटी काफ़ी है मैडम, कितनी देर हो गई? 14 minutes. 14 minutes.